There's a version of Sony that most people have completely forgotten, a Sony that took swings so wild, so unbothered by what anyone thought, that the cameras they made in that era feel almost illegal by today's standards. Floppy disks, infrared night vision, sensors that had no business being inside a consumer product, 5 cameras, all of them bizarre. One of them, quietly, without anyone noticing, changed everything. Welcome to AltBuzz Archives, where we find the tech history that everyone forgot and make sure it never stays buried. Hit subscribe because the algorithm hides us almost as well as Sony hid these cameras. At number 5, we have the Sony Mavica FD7 and FD5, the cameras that saved your photos to floppy disks and somehow made digital photography feel like magic. Picture this. It is 1998. You pull out your Mavica, frame your shot, press the shutter, and then you slide out a standard 3.5-inch floppy disk, the same one sitting next to your keyboard. You walk it over to your computer, push it into the drive, and your photo appears on screen. No cable, no driver installation nightmare, no waiting, just a floppy disk carrying your memory from one machine to another like it was the most natural thing in the world. At the time, it felt like the future had finally arrived in the camera aisle. Sony read the room in a way almost no other camera brand was doing. People did not want sharper images, not yet. They wanted easier. They wanted digital photography to feel like something they could actually manage. So Sony built an entire camera philosophy around the most familiar storage format on the planet. The FD5 and FD7 saved full JPEG images straight to standard floppies, which meant that for the first time, a completely non-technical person could pick up a digital camera and immediately understand how to get their photos off it. That simplicity was radical. That simplicity was the whole product. Now, here is the part that makes the Mavica feel genuinely illegal in 2026. The image quality was terrible, low resolution, heavy compression, colors that looked like they had been processed through a fever dream. By any technical standard, this was not a great camera. But that almost did not matter, because the Mavica taught an entire generation that digital photography was something they were allowed to participate in. The cameras that changed everything are rarely the cameras that did everything perfectly. The Mavica proved that faster than almost anything else in Sony's entire catalog. If you are new to AltBuzz Archives and you love cameras that actually have a story behind them, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. This channel lives for exactly this kind of history. At number 4, we have the Sony Cyber-shot DSC-F717, the rotating lens night vision spy tool that Sony somehow shipped as a normal consumer camera. The F717 had a lens barrel that rotated away from the body, a form factor that felt pulled straight out of a near-future thriller, and underneath all of that unusual bodywork sat a Carl Zeiss Vario sonar lens and a superhead CMOS sensor pulling 5 megapixels, a serious number for a prosumer camera at the time. It was angular where cameras were usually smooth, strange where cameras were usually safe. DP Review gave it a highly recommended rating and placed it among the best prosumer digital cameras of its era. Sony was genuinely competing at the top of the market with something that also looked like it belonged in a museum of bold design decisions. But the feature that made the F717 feel completely unhinged was night shot. Flip that switch and you were no longer shooting visible light, you were shooting infrared. The world through the viewfinder became something eerie and pale and ghostly. Foliage turned white. Shadows revealed what your eyes simply could not. Here is what people consistently get wrong about night shot. They call it a gimmick. It was not a gimmick. It was Sony asking a genuinely interesting question. What if a camera could see what human eyes cannot? The answer was weird, impractical, occasionally alarming, and completely ahead of its time. The CMOS sensor also gave every image that warm, textured, cinematic quality that photographers today chase through vintage glass and film emulation presets. The F717 had it natively. In 2026, no mainstream camera manufacturer would ship a consumer body with a functioning infrared night vision mode. Sony shipped it anyway, because in 2002, They were still in the business of taking strange bets on strange ideas. Subscribe to AltBuzz Archives if you want more camera history that actually has personality behind it. Now, the next camera on this list is where Sony stopped playing around entirely. At number 3, we have the Sony Cyber-shot DSC-F828, the 4-color CMOS monster that Sony built once, shipped to the world, and then quietly never spoke of again. The F828 arrived in 2003 with something no other camera had ever attempted. Every digital camera uses 3 colors of light to construct an image: red, green, blue. That is the rule. The foundation nobody questions because it has always worked and the entire industry is built on top of it. Sony looked at that rule and added a 4th color: emerald. The F828 used a proprietary RGB CMOS sensor, red, green, blue, emerald, designed to capture tonal information that a standard 3-color sensor would simply miss. Petapixel confirmed what the history already shows. The F828 was the first and the last camera to use Sony's 4-color CMOS approach. They built it once and walked away from the concept entirely. The body matched the ambition. Large, rotating, overbuilt in a way that made it look like someone had been given an unlimited engineering budget and a very loose deadline. The Carl Zeiss T-Star zoom ran from 28 to 200mm equivalent, serious focal range wrapped in serious glass. But the results were complicated. Purple fringing showed up where it should not have. Color noise crept into shadows in ways that felt inconsistent. The RGB sensor was ambitious in theory and imperfect in execution, and no amount of firmware could entirely close that gap. In a different kind of video, those would be disqualifying flaws. Here they are almost the point. Sony did not build the F828 to play it safe. They built it to test a hypothesis about color that no one else was brave enough to test. Every purple fringe in the shadows of an F828 frame is evidence of the risk, proof that Sony once tried to reinvent how cameras understand color, shipped the experiment to real consumers, and then quietly acknowledged the idea was not quite ready. That kind of bold, expensive, beautiful mistake is almost entirely absent from camera design today. We are at the halfway point of this video, and before we go further, if you want to support AltBuzz Archives directly and get behind-the-scenes access to how these videos come together, the membership is open. Core member is $7 a month. Elite partner is $20. Links are below. It keeps this channel alive, and you get something real in return. Now back to the cameras, because the next two were not just strange. They were right, and the world took years to catch up. At number 2, we have the Sony DSC-R1, the APS-C bridge camera that arrived from the future and found nobody ready to receive it. The R1 landed in 2005 with a fixed lens and an APS-C sensor inside a bridge camera body. In 2026, that sounds completely ordinary. In 2005, it was science fiction aimed at buyers who did not know they needed it yet. Every bridge camera at the time used a small sensor, the kind that struggled in low light, compressed dynamic range into something flat, and sent serious photographers looking elsewhere the moment they needed their images to hold up. The R1 ignored that trade completely. DP Review called it the first all-in-one digital camera with a large APS-size sensor, 10.3 megapixels on a proper CMOS chip, inside a fixed lens body wearing a Carl Zeiss zoom. It was not trying to be a better bridge camera. It was trying to be something that did not have a name yet. What Sony was actually doing with the R1 was drawing the blueprint for what would eventually become the RX1, the Fujifilm X100 series, the entire premium fixed lens large sensor conversation that serious photographers now take completely for granted. The R1 described all of that logic in 2005, showed it to the market, and watched the market largely shrug and walk past it. Autofocus was slower than rivals. The fixed lens limited flexibility. The body was large for a carry-everywhere camera. It was not a perfect camera, but it was a correct camera. It understood something real about what photographers actually wanted before photographers had the vocabulary to ask for it. There is a specific kind of loneliness that belongs to products that arrive too early. They are right, and they know they are right, and the world around them simply is not ready to agree. The R1 lives in that category. In 2026, the camera logic it proposed is completely mainstream, but the R1 arrived before the segment existed, before reviewers knew what to compare it against, before buyers knew how to categorize what they were looking at. That is why it feels illegal. It was a future camera, shipped into a present that had not arrived yet. Subscribe to AltBuzz Archives if you have not already. This is the kind of camera history that... At number 1, we have the Sony RX100 Mark I, the tiny pocket camera that took everything Sony had learned from a decade of strange bets and made it fit inside a shirt pocket. The RX100 Mark I is not the weirdest camera on this list. It does not save photos to floppy disks. It does not have infrared night vision on a physical switch. It does not run a 4-color sensor that was retired after a single generation. By the standards of everything we have discussed, it is almost restrained, and that restraint is precisely what made it the most important camera Sony had shipped in years. Sony took a 1-inch sensor, a sensor size that at the time belonged inside larger, more serious cameras, and built it into a body that fits comfortably in a shirt pocket. Not a jacket pocket, a shirt pocket. The files coming out of something this small were genuinely embarrassingly good. Reviewers at the time struggled to explain how Sony had done it. The math did not quite add up. The physics felt generous. But here is what people still miss about the RX100 Mark I. It did not just make a better compact camera. It rewrote the assumption that compact cameras were inherently a compromise. Before the RX100, pocket cameras occupied a very specific cultural space. They were for people who did not care enough about photography to carry something serious. After the RX100, that assumption evaporated permanently. Sony had demonstrated that serious image quality and genuine portability were not opposing forces. They were a design problem, and design problems have solutions. The lens opened at f1.8, giving it real capability in low light for something its size. There was no viewfinder on the original. The price felt aggressive for a point-and-shoot at launch. These were honest trade-offs made to hit a specific size, a specific price, and a specific promise. And still, the used market moves these in 2026, not out of nostalgia, but because the files genuinely hold up. Photographers specifically seek out the Mark I because the CMOS sensor renders light in a way that feels tactile and real, in a form factor that disappears completely into daily life. In 2026, the RX100 Mark I feels illegal because Sony made a point-and-shoot that embarrassed cameras twice its size, and it did that by taking every ounce of weirdness and ambition that defined every other camera on this list and turning all of it into something anyone could actually use. If this video gave you something, consider dropping a super thanks. Anything from $2 upward means more to this channel than you might think. And if you want to go deeper with AltBuzz Archives, the membership is below. Core member at $7 a month, Elite Partner at $20. You get behind-the-scenes access, and you help keep this channel doing exactly what it is doing right now. Sony cameras in 2026 are technically better in almost every measurable way. The sensors are sharper. The autofocus tracks subjects with accuracy that feels slightly uncanny. The video specifications in some bodies are genuinely absurd. By every benchmark the industry agreed to care about, Sony is at or near the top of the mountain. But none of today's cameras save your photos to floppy disks. None of them have infrared night vision on a single physical switch. None of them run a 4-color sensor bold enough to ship and humble enough to retire after one generation. None of them arrive 5 years before the market understands what it is even looking at. And none of them feel quite like Sony was betting everything on a strange idea and refusing to apologize for it. That was the quality every camera on this list shared. Not their specs, not their sensors, not their megapixel counts. It was their attitude. The sense that somewhere inside Sony, someone had a weird idea, someone else said yes, and nobody stopped them in time. That attitude produced cameras that were flawed and bold and occasionally impossible to explain. And it produced cameras that people are still talking about in 2026, long after technically better cameras have come and gone without anyone caring enough to remember them. Which one feels the most illegal to you? The Mavica with its floppy disks, the F717 with its night vision, the F828 and its 4-color sensor, The R1 that arrived from the future? Or the tiny pocket monster that reset every expectation? Drop it in the comments, start the argument, subscribe to AltBuzz Archives, and thank you genuinely for watching this far.